So, time again for tea talk.
Ooh.
And today we're talking about a short-ish walk we did.
Fast-ish.
Oh, crikey. That we did, cheers, around Castle Howard. And more specifically, the fact that we'd got permission to walk past the Mausoleum.
Which I must say now seems to be extremely visible, all the forestry work they've done over the last few years from the A64, and it's very much there, isn't it? It's imposing up on that hill.
Well, there was a change in steward, wasn't there?
There was.
And in fairness to the new incumbent, he's done an awful lot. You can see Castle Howard from an awful, distance away. Or a far distance, not awful. Having said that, I think when we start looking at this, we pass comment that we were on the walk for a good way before we actually saw the house. But no, as they say, from the A64 you can see the Mausoleum. You can see just landmarked, can't you?
Yeah, the higher
from a
things.
distance.
Yeah, definitely.
And the reason we were doing this is we were meeting some friends at the Yorkshire Arboretum, which is essentially across the road, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? There's the lovely Cleopatra's Needle, an obelisk, a roundabout, and from York, the left turn is to the Yorkshire Arboretum, which has really grown and become a very important arboretum in the country now.
They've got red squirrels.
Oh, beautiful.
So I'm led to believe a lot of people go to see red squirrels.
Specifically for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but initially we turned right, didn't we, into Castle Howard.
Yeah, and it was early enough in the morning, to be able to park early enough, because I think we'd allowed hour and a half, couple of hours?
Couple of hours probably, but all told, including getting boots on and,
getting
boots off.
I think, now I think about it, it was just under 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
And we thought we had time, but we couldn't dawdle. But anyway, that's another story. So parking up, it's free parking at Castle Howard, so that's good.
We parked at the far reaches of the car park as well, didn't we? Because we use the garden centre and the farm shops and stuff a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did sort of park in the countryside end.
Yeah, because if you were to go to the courtyard and the farm shop and go for a coffee or a meal, indeed, in the courtyard, or the like you say, the garden centre, there's no charge for any of that.
No, you can use it as a retail.
Yeah, the admission is literally when you go past to go into the gardens and into the house. I think there's two separate charges, surely.
Like in National Trust
everywhere,
and, house and gardens, or gardens only.
Yeah.
I don't know if now, because it's a little bit more involved, that the adventure playground is a charge as well. I think they do that at Chatsworth, don't they?
Well, it's a few years since we've been there.
Yeah, but
A few years.
I think that is in itself an attraction.
A destination. Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's parked up, and we knew it's a simple enough route, essentially skirting round the estate, really. So we leave the car park and head south towards Swiss Cottage, which takes us through and past the cricket pitch.
Yes, which...
Well, there's not been cricket played for many, many years, but...
But again, we commented on this at Nostell, the shed, for want of a better phrase. It was just a very ornamental garden shed. It had some lovely finishing bits to it, but it wasn't used, was it?
Not at all. It was going to rack and ruin. It was the pavilion. You could absolutely see that it was.
Yeah,
and that pitch has been picnicked and parked on for so many years that you couldn't actually play cricket on it now.
It undulates.
And I don't even mean the pitch. I mean the outfield and everything. It's just a field now, which is a shame, but understandable. So you go across there, and then you actually head through a tiny bit of the wood, but you're running parallel to the...
It's called the Stray,
the
isn't
Stray.
it? The long straight road, the great grand arrival to the house.
Which is a mile, isn't it? I mean, it's deadly straight, as you say.
It is.
So, and the thing I've always commented on, I mean, this is even before I knew anything about Castle Howard, just occasionally going through it, the gatehouse because it's literally one way traffic, isn't it, through the gatehouse? But it's the
is.
largest gatehouse you could possibly imagine, couldn't you? It's absolutely
With
huge.
A adopted road through it, yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is, we saw a grand gatehouse at Nostell, but this is, I commented who possibly lives in there now, because there must be 20 rooms.
Yeah, well, from the windows.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and if it's split front and back, that probably isn't. Then there's double that, but...
And on the top of it, well, it has a pyramid, doesn't it? Really, because I remember at Christmas they put lights all... it's...
Well, years ago, I don't know if you remember this, but as I say, before the current incumbent, there was a mannequin.
Very scary.
You do remember in the upstairs
out,
window,
just staring at you.
So obviously, people that knew it and went past it regularly weren't troubled by it, but new visitors will have seen it and thought, "What the heck is that?" But no, and I like this road that you then get onto, because you get on an actual. It's a public footpath that joins up to the Centenary Way, isn't it?
It is. So it's not a bridle path, because it is a road, but it's a private road, and they're quite strict about that, aren't they? It's a public footpath.
Yeah, because they don't like cyclists, do they?
No.
I think they have a big issue with cyclists. Probably a safety thing.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
And I suspect it means that cyclists are then going to... Where are those cyclists going to be going? Are they going to be going onto footpaths around the estate that would get churned up?
Yeah.
So it is probably a case of, if we discourage cyclists going on here, then we know they're not going on the rest of the estate. But that walk that you go, because we're heading east now, aren't we? Yeah. We knew we would get a view of a house, but you pass a whole host of estate houses, don't you?
That seem to be built into the estate wall.
Oh, I know,
don't they?
yeah.
Because what really struck me was the window frames were parallel, correct, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the roof lights, it just looked all wonky and topsy-turvy, but no, they are literally in the estate wall. And absolutely, lived in, tenanted, aren't they?
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
They are
all the...
I don't know if will they be estate workers still?
I don't know, because we know that there's somebody who's got their own business, but you don't know if... Of course,
yeah.
They're one half of a partnership that does work at the estate. I don't know.
But from there, I mean, you carry on a little bit, and you're going past these, and you get to see views of Welburn, don't you?
It's a high point, isn't it? So
very high.
On the on the left, there's Castlehour, but as you say, to the right, you've got views out to Welburn,
which is an estate village, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that all around, we know Conisthorpe definitely, is. Even Bulmer, there are a lot of estate properties still in that village.
Tell by the colour of the doors. And then, I don't know, is it a 5-minute walk, 10-minute walk? So you get the first views of the actual house.
That's it. It seemed to be longer, didn't it? We were
a long time. Yeah, go on. It must have been longer than that then, because we were commenting that we haven't seen that. You can't see the house yet. Yeah.
And it wasn't that there was a massive crop in the field or something like that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But then, when we were treated to it,
spectacular, wasn't it?
And what happened as well?
The sun came out. And again, I commented that I saw a TV show, because I can't remember his name. I keep saying the current incumbent tenant, hoping that Nick did quite a bit of marketing and was on quite a few TV shows. And I can remember that there was a show that showed they'd put new gold leaf on the dome.
On the top of the dome.
On the very top. And the sun absolutely caught that, didn't it?
Yeah. So we said, fair
play.
It was worth it. It was.
No.
But you do, and then it sparked a memory of the, what I call the aha moment. That
sure enough.
The carriages would see from the salutation gate up on the hill above.
Exclamation gate.
Oh, I always get that wrong.
Exclamation gate.
That's why I was looking.
Top of Welburn. Yeah. No, absolutely. And like I say,
so
when they'll have been arriving on carriages, it'll have been
Yeah.
a different tree line altogether. But no, that's good. And carrying on this road before we hit the Centenary Way, you get a view of the pyramid. You get, as I say, it's a good view of the house, different angles, and it is a well trodden road. It's easy to walk on. and then you get to the junction of the Centenary Way. So basically, it's 4-lane ends, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we turn north to head on I'll call it a public footpath. It's not the Centenary Way. We hit the corner of the Centenary Way, then head north, which is essentially between crops that takes you over the pond or the lake.
Again, a very ornate bridge.
Oh yeah, gorgeous.
Surprisingly steep when we got.
But I was surprised. I assumed we would have a cracking view back to the house, but you don't. You see the South Lake. I think you can see a tiny bit of the house, but you certainly don't get the wow view again.
No, good point.
You know, which was surprising.
Did you comment at the time you thought perhaps it was the tradesmen's then?
Probably.
Because it was just the way that they were approaching.
Well, it could easily be. Well, yeah, think about it.
Yeah.
It's still... Yeah, no, that makes sense. And then they'll have gone round the back. That makes perfect sense.
But yes, surprisingly so. You see the South Lake and up to the Mausoleum.
Okay, remember that chap as well with his dog? Commented that he'd been stood, waiting with his camera, waiting to grab some good photos, but the sun had let him down a little bit, which is I suppose always the way for photographers. It's all about the light, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then cross over down the bridge, and then you turn right to get to the Mausoleum. And then the Mausoleum is again at a high point, so it's a bit of a it's not a difficult walk. No, it's only craggy. It's a gentle incline, isn't it?
It is.
But it is to make sure that the Mausoleum does have the highest point in fact, I'm just looking at the OS. It screams that that's where it was going to be, doesn't it? On a little bit of a hill.
That bit there, yeah.
And it's surrounded by a bit of woodland and all the rest of it. And the Howard family are in there, aren't they?
I guess
I don't know if all of them are in there or if it's wives and husbands and things like that. But it's a very grand affair. And then, of course, we just drop down the hill to pick back up on the
Centenary Way.
Way, yeah. And it was a good. Well, it wasn't a hot day. The cloud was in and out, but there was plenty of people about, still, wasn't there? Because it's a very recognised route, isn't it?
It is, and there's a few lodge parks around, and so
Castle Howard has
holiday makers. Yeah, absolutely, it's a good little walk around.
And I don't think we'd been on that road long before we realised that we'd kind of misjudged the distance and the time.
Yeah.
So I think it was about there when we hit the Centenary Way that we realised that we were going to really have to pick the pace up.
I think you actually said we need to do, was it 15-minute miles?
Yeah, which is 4 miles an hour, which is, well, walking, it's a brisk walk. You're late.
Yes.
You're late for a meeting.
Type fee. Yeah. Shuffle, hustle.
You're late for an appointment if you're walking at 4 miles an hour, and you are getting a bit of a dab on, as we say. So the next thing I remember is getting to Bog Hall.
Bog Hall. Now that was a surprise to us, wasn't it? Having walked.
It was sad for me.
Yeah.
Because we knew that area when we used to live in Welburn.
Yeah.
Going foraging and
and just a bit of a constitutional around there, because yes, so it's no longer lived in.
So Bog Hall, let's say Bog Hall is an estate farm, isn't it?
Estate farm, pretty substantial.
Yeah.
The house itself and the outbuildings.
Oh yeah, crikey! The Centenary Way absolutely goes through it. And it was funny, wasn't it? Because when I came across the plum tree. And sampled the beautiful plums. You said you'd actually seen somebody with some. I think it was good how we took, was it 2 or 3? They'd just obviously taken 2 or 3. Everybody was being considerate and not sitting and...
But it was overhanging the path,
wasn't
it? Because even though it's not lived
we didn't
in
have
now,
to trespass.
Still, no, it was absolutely...
But it would have been easy to fill a bag,
fill your boots,
but no, because that's not the way of it.
No,
just
you
share
enjoyed and it gave you that little bit of boost for the 15-minute mile.
Well, we did, because as soon as we made the turn...
Well, it was so hot there, because the path had been clear, but it was in sort of head height.
Oh, yeah, that bit I don't think gets used an awful lot.
And I must say it was a new bit to us. We've not used that before. We've carried on the...
Well, if you look at the map, if you look at the OS and you look where there is public footpaths, I think the only people that use that path are people that are doing this Centenary Way.
Yeah.
Because there's public footpaths aplenty to get from every direction, from the estate, from Conisthorpe to Bog Hall.
Okay.
And most people wouldn't use the Centenary Way, I don't think.
Right.
But we had to essentially get to... because we left it there because we go to
the Temple of the
Four Winds, isn't it?
Yeah, to just get back to that bridge.
Which you told me is essentially a building that we think... Oh no, you didn't tell us. We thought and we discussed it. We thought it might be...
We thought, why, what?
But it's a nice flat walk, isn't it? From the house down to the Temple of the Four Winds along an avenue. We think they might have taken a constitutional... The drinks will have been set up.
And I think that little incline there that would have, to have managed in your frock without dragging it through too much.
Well, you have thought about it.
Yeah. And then, sit up there with your ancestors watching on and just...
Yeah, no, lovely. Different. I mean, we've all had a glimpse of it watching period dramas, haven't we?
Absolutely.
So we know what they got up to.
But there, when we're climbing there, and it was a...
Oh yeah, it was warm enough. Yeah,
the sun had come out. We were
walking as quick as we ever have done. Yeah.
Now, and obviously we've still got packs on and everything.
Well, any quicker when you're doing a jog.
Yeah.
It's the quickest you can walk. It's the quickest we can walk without breaking into a jog. And from the Temple of the Four Winds, you basically take a straight line back down to the bridge, don't you?
It is. Yeah, there was a herd in there, wasn't there? But they were fine. They ignored us. They were very well behaved.
Well, there's another story about that, but that's not for today.
Okay.
About cows not ignoring us. And essentially from there, it's just a quick retrace of our steps back up to the junction with the Centenary Way and back to the car park. But as you mentioned, it was a hot day. We were going far too quick. The lesson of the day is building some contingency.
And sort of don't... I think, in my mind, I didn't realise just how far it was. I felt we would have achieved it a lot quicker than we did.
Or, of course, you can make a call to your friends and say, we're going to be a little bit late.
Yes.
But that's not what we like to do.
No. Yeah, but we got back and then people were picnicking all over the cricket pitch.
Oh,
the car park was full.
Yeah.
And in that hour and a half,
It's a transformed, hasn't it?
Everybody had landed, hadn't they?
No, it was good to see. Yeah, so we'll do it again, and we'll do more of the paths and routes around.
And the Centenary Way around.
Yeah, absolutely, we will. But no, that was good. Really enjoyed it.
It's worth doing.